Thank you, and good morning, everyone. What a great day to start this week discussing metal powder, but metal powder in a very much moving environment. Typically, when defining company strategies, we look at megatrends and the impact and how to mitigate and position ourselves in the best possible position to be successful moving forward. That has been the past. That's very much so the case for the future as well. But in addition to that, I think we as an industry need to position ourselves in the best possible way for the future. There are a number of these megatrends that we could talk about, but I'm mainly going to focus on two: electrification and sustainability. To get us started, what better point than the jump-off point and where we at Höganäs take our jump-off point. I usually say that technology is global, and when looking at how technology is adopted, there are actually not that many differences. We look at global platforms of technology being deployed, but business is local. Combining these two elements and doing that in the best possible way is what we really want to strengthen moving forward, and I think we have a good legacy of in Höganäs. So we're a truly global company, as you can see by this picture. But in addition to that, we're very much committed to our 2037 net zero. And to be able to get there, we will stay true to the core of Höganäs, which is material development and the knowledge close to our heart. This is where we are coming from. And then I said I will be focusing on the two trends, which I actually see as one. It's our joint challenge to combine these two in the best possible way. I recall I've spent the vast majority of my career in the automotive industry developing systems for electrification and for autonomous vehicles. I think quite a few of you remember the financial crisis 2008-2009 and what came after. Downsizing and developing technologies for fuel consumption and reduced fuel consumption. I have to confess, I thought we were making big leaps back then. Looking back at it today, and looking at the opportunity that lies ahead of us, today we're all involved in a full surgery, replacing the heart and the spine of one of the core industries that we're serving in terms of the automotive industry. So for us, it means sustainable electrification and being part of that new ecosystem and supporting this transition. And when I say we, that can of course apply to the colleagues within Höganäs, but I think it also applies to everyone in this room. This is one way to try to elaborate on some of what Ralf described from a European perspective. If we look at this picture from a global perspective, to put some facts and meat to the bone on this picture. 2018, we talked about peak car, 95 million vehicles. And then we all know what happened, 19 slowing down and 20, let's not get stuck there. But back then, from 95 million vehicles being produced globally, 2018, we were at 75 million vehicles globally by 2020. Fast forwarding to today, we're at 86, 87 million vehicles globally being produced at a penetration of electrification by 13%. If you deduct that, we're at 76 million vehicles produced with combustion engines and conventional transmissions today. Main message here is we are in transition and the pivot point is now. Can look at other indicators pointing at the same phenomena. total cost of ownership, the battery price per kilowatt hour. This is happening right now, and if you choose to look at the world from a glass half empty perspective, it could be a declining market. I tend to look at it from the other perspective, combining and building on the strength and the glass half full perspective, supporting a evolving market by tapping into the new potentials and the new supply chains being developed, thereby growing with a yellow curve that is described on this slide. And the foundation for doing this, again, is not taking one challenge at a time, but adapting quickly and having the foundation of sustainability to build our new business upon. Here are some good examples of commitments in the automotive industry and when they were introduced in time versus when in time net zero will be achieved. At a first glance, we have some time to fix this, it may seem, or do we? Bear with me and let's make an example and see if we can build a timeline around this, what it means to all of us in this room. 2012, the year when Tesla S started serial production, until now, 11 years later, 13% battery electric vehicle penetration. And then we add 5 to 6 years of developing such a vehicle. Then we would be around 2040. We would be on time, right? Or would we? In addition, we have to execute our climate roadmaps in our companies to make sure that we are prepared and supporting the industries when delivering on these commitments. This is another opportunity opening up. And it's the material suppliers and providers and developers in our industry who can support this in the most efficient way. It's a unique opportunity for us right now. At Höganäs, as I mentioned, our commitment is to be in our operations net zero by 2030, scope 1 and 2. If you add that time, it actually adds up to these commitments by the downstream customers. So again, the main message, there's a great opportunity and a business for us. We have to start this journey. If you haven't, it's about time that we start it now. There are opportunities in applications, and just to give a glance of where we see opportunities. Some examples here. Traction motors, both axial flux and the JAS example, which Ralph mentioned, which is a brilliant example. By the way, if you have the time, look at the statistics for axial flux motors statistics. Beginning of this year, it was 0% for the automotive industry. Now it's showing up at 1.3, 1.5%, and it's only a few suppliers active in this area. We're developing for this industry, and we're developing for traction motors, but we're also developing for radial flux motors, which is the prevailing technology as it sits today. For auxiliaries, highly integrated solutions. We all know that there are packaging constraints and efficiency constraints to reach the right profitability. The right material with the right value proposition is a differentiator in these markets. And of course, energy conversion and the opportunities that opens up with onboard chargers and infrastructure for charging these vehicles. Another area to develop materials for. And structural components which are being changed and exposed to new challenges in terms of transmissions. To be able to do this, we have inverted our development process. We're still building on the core material know-how and knowledge, but connecting it to be able to reduce the development time. Doing this means that we have to start on the far left and understand the needs, which are very much evolving fast. Look at how fast technology is being replaced. We talked about 400 volt systems being replaced by 800 volts, and there are discussions about 1200 volts to reduce the charging times. It's moving fast, hence all of us need to understand the downstream requirements as they are evolving right now at a faster pace. Then connecting it via the development process to the material development to make sure that we have the right properties for the applications of tomorrow. That doesn't mean vertical integration for us, but it does mean new depth of engagement. Understanding and building knowledge downstream to be able to work on the left-hand side and capture the needs of the future, to develop the products on the material level, ready in time to avoid the sequential development that we have seen in the past. That's why we're investing in these capabilities and this knowledge via our partnerships. Alvia Mechatronics, CBeyond, and then they're all connected to Höganäs core. Our climate ambitions are validated by science-based targets. And as I've said 2 times already, our own operations commitment is scope 1 and 2 by 2030, scope 1, 2, and 3 by 2037. To be able to capture this opportunity and really position ourselves, and I say we again, as an industry, to support the transition, there will be a number of challenges for sure. But I'm equally convinced that there are at least as many opportunities to build the yellow curve I was referring to in the powder metal industry, in the electrified automotive industry. But we have to do this with an approach of cradle to cradle to avoid developing multiple times and getting the solutions right the first time. And that's where I believe we have a great future ahead of us, all of us. With those words, I would like to thank you so much for your attention.